Da da da! What's my good cheer? Welcome, everybody. Let's give YouTube a couple of minutes, get those notifications out. And in the meantime, if you've never popped into one of my lives before, hi, I'm Cindy. I explore the inside and the outside, literally. Uh, and I would actually encourage everybody to take a look at my mishmash of content, because that mishmash of content is the playbook, right? It is the chapters in the story that I'm creating for myself. And for a big part of that story, when you go back into my content, right? Halfway through, halfway through, I did all that on pure determination, and some of those insights and some of those lessons that I picked up along the way in my lifetime that were just enough to keep me going to the point where I might be able to find a little bit of help myself. And that's exactly how it all started for me. In this week of working on this word, understanding, right? It's a heavy word, isn't it? Because for each one of us, it's going to impact us differently in our experience, each one of us having a different experience. Those lessons in our lives are going to be different for each one of us, depending on those problems that we have that are realized and unrealized. Because for a long time, right, I was bumbling along and thinking that I was on top of things, that I was working on those limiting beliefs, and I was, right? But I hadn't even touched the iceberg. It's kind of like, when you watch those iceberg documentary, that you get to understand that 80% of that iceberg is underneath the water, that we don't even see how big it is, right? How I was in these lessons. And again, like I said, it was just bumbling along, just looking for these answers to some of these experiences, some of these strange and unfamiliar experiences and understandings that I had, that you know it just led me from one explanation to another. It was like an hors d'oeuvre tray, right? One problem, but 50 answers, right? And again, it was catered to the experience and to the problems and to some of those questions that I had, specifically designed for me. And so, right off the hop, I have to give some gratefulness to this digital age, that for some reason, right, I miraculously walked into, along with everybody else, where it could have been easily a different story, especially in my age bracket. Hello, Kathy. Oh my goodness. Hello, Sharon. Oh my goodness. Well seasoned greetings, Cindy. Thank you so much for the card. I'm opening it now. Understanding is a good one. Listening. Oh, good stuff. Good stuff, Sharon. I could use the company, right? I could use the company and your company too, Kathy, even though me and you did have some communication already this afternoon. How lovely it is that you're here with us. It's girls' night, right? Sharon, Kathy, couple of my favorite moderators on my live show, Chatters Live. And this Sunday, coming up, Christmas Eve, 7 p.m. Central, you guys, we're having a Christmas party. We're spending some time together. And for lots of us, if you're anything like me, you spend a lot of time on your own. And whether it's a holiday or not, you're spending it on your own. But the thing is, sometimes on those holidays, right? It's kind of like putting the flashing lights on to the fact that it is a holiday. It's a time for friends. It's time for family. It's time for closeness. It's time to practice some of those lessons that we've come along the way. But let me show you in a second. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to do this on YouTube. I know in Canada they have laws about advertising, but I'm not actually advertising the product. But we got a Christmas party happening live on Sunday night, you guys. Your favorite pair of pajamas, right? Your favorite pair of pajamas, your favorite cocktail, whether it's alcohol. I got Kahlua. Well, it's actually Kamora because it's a few dollars cheaper and you get a bigger bottle, right? But it's the same stuff. Banana liqueur, and tequila. And you guys, I'm not much of a drinker, so I'm going to be counting on my moderators to decide whether or not the live show can go on, because I do get pounded pretty fast. And these things go down like chocolate milkshakes in all truth. Just going to put my bottles right here because I know I won't kick them over. But whether or not it's alcohol or it's a cup of coffee or a bottle of pop, right? It's that company. And, lots of us, we think we're tougher than we actually are. Last year, I watched everybody drive up into front of the building that I live in. I have over 200 apartments in this building. And on Christmas Eve, all day long, I watched these kids, adult grown children, stop in front of the building, turn on their flashers, and come into the building. And 5 minutes later, they're back in their cars and they're driving away. I'm thinking, oh my goodness, right? I live in a building mostly 55 plus. And these were the children, and they were coming to drop off presents for their parents, but not spending any real time with their parents. And then what happens? My sisters usually come over and visit me Christmas Eve, and they did the exact same thing to me. I laughed about it because I do love my time alone, right? But it was something for me to take note of, that right? It is a time to recognize the people that are close to us. And sometimes that's family. Sometimes it's just neighbors, right? Sometimes it's somebody that you work with. I have a girl at work. She doesn't have any family, so she's going to be spending Christmas with me. And maybe in the last minute, family will show up, right? And she'll be able to have that experience with the people that she loves, right? But if she doesn't, we have plans for Christmas Day. I bought a turkey. I'm going to the store because I'm all punch drunk from lessons, that I'm going to the grocery store and I'm going to pick up my bag of potatoes and I'm going to see if I can get a little bit of walk in and do a little bit of tree hugging, right? That connection to Mother Nature, because I feel I need it. I thought I was dragging my butt on my days off, but it seems I'm getting stuff done. So I'm pleased with that. But I also know, because I have to get these things done, I'm doing a little bit of that mush with myself. And hello, Melvin, dear. Hello, Melvin. Oh my goodness. Yes, it looks like Cindy got her glasses. Yes, she did. I ate peanut butter toast and drank coffee for a month to afford to get them, but I did them, right? Those necessities, those things that, right? Things that you need, things that you can't deny yourself, right? Okay, so let's just get back into those lessons. So if you guys want to come and hang out on Christmas Eve, if you've got nothing to do. And even if you think you're good to go and you're just happy to sit on the couch and watch reruns with a bowl of popcorn, right? Come and hang out with us anyway. Come and hang out. We're a great crew. And we're going to be a great pounded crew. We're going to be a great pounded crew because Cindy's going to be drinking electric monkeys. They're called electric monkeys. My recipes. I used to work in bars as a server and a bartender. But like I said, whether it's pop or coffee or beer or some other kind, glass of wine, bottle of wine, case of wine, whatever it is, we start at 7 o'clock Central, and we'd love to have you join us Christmas Eve. 7 p.m. Central. It's a good time, and we've been doing this for years. This is annual, and we'll be doing this, right? Well, if I don't show up on Christmas Eve, right, it was nice knowing you, right? And we'll see you next time, right? See you soon. That's life. I don't give any thought to those aspects of my life that I don't have any control over, right? I have no control over, except maybe to take my vitamins, to watch myself as I cross the street, right? I don't have those compulsive thoughts about death and right things coming to an end. And I do know it is heavy. I have friends who it has been really a thorn. It's more than a thorn. It's been compulsive, sad, pounding, never ending consistent thought on, right, some people that I know's mind. And I know that what we think about is realized. So I wouldn't wish that on anybody. And I'm grateful that these things are not on my plate to compulse about. But there are topics, and I'm looking at the screen right now, is watching a narcissistic abuse documentary, you guys. When we talk about understandings, when I woke up to some of these ideas, right, I was thinking, what were some of the first realizations? What were my first really big understandings? And you guys know how I feel about this word forgiveness. And you know the story, and I will, right, load it up. We'll talk about it as we, right, because there are great lessons in that. But that's the thing. My first understanding that I needed to forgive. That I need to get the pollution out of my system. I had to get that yuck out. Right? I didn't understand where it came from. I did understand it wasn't serving me anyway. That I was holding resentment inside of me. That I was holding fear and desperation inside of me, that I was holding on to that I'm not good enough and I don't matter. And I held all, it was just putrid, festering garbage. And I was polluted by it. And I am grateful for the understandings that just getting that one lesson of forgiveness and getting that out of the way, that it gave me some time to really take a look at some of those problems that I had and where they came from. They call it shadow work. I didn't even understand at the time that that's what I was doing. But because I have such a curious mind, right? Because I wanted to know, these were questions I had asked myself my entire life, that, right, it just seemed that this was the time, and this, we're going back 6 years ago or something, right? It just seemed like the perfect time that I might be able to get some answers, this digital age, that I could Google anything and those answers would come to me. So I searched out some help, right? And it led me to, right, the next realization, my next understanding. And it was the biggest one that I possibly, and it's the one that I should have known when I was at the very latest a young teenager, right? It just seems so so obvious. And when I got that understanding, it just opened up my mind to that's what happened. And then it just sent me deeper. And that was to understand my sensitivity, to understand that, when people said, you're just too darn sensitive, Cindy, that I shouldn't have looked at it like it was a problem, like it was a deficit, like it was a handicap, like it was something terrible wrong with me, right? And then to learn what an empath was, right? And that was my second greatest understanding. And it was something that I knew was kept from me, that it was with intent, that these understandings never came across my path because they were such simple understandings that a 2-year-old, if they had had the experiences, the conversations, the adventures I had, they would have known instantly. And not just that, the parentage that I had, that I was my father's daughter, that I lived with it every single day, right, of my life. I experienced it. That relationship with my father was a reflection of me, and I was the shiner in his life, and he was the shiner in my life, right? That I was an empath, and oh my goodness, that just opened up everything for me, right? And it was the lesson that led into the realization of the problem. And again, I said I was sitting here and I was deep. I have to go for a walk, right? Because narcissism, the topic of narcissism, the content of narcissism, the impact of narcissism, the right, it's in my life. It's in my family in different levels, right? Even with me being an empath, I have narcissistic traits because my mother was a narcissist. My father was a sensitive, right? They shouldn't have been together, but somehow it happened. And all four of us girls, they had 4 children, all four of us girls are in different stages, right? And I'm going to say narcissism, it runs in my family, and just even in the next set of generations even more. And so when I hear people say, oh, narcissism, the word of the day, right, the topic of the day, the the witch hunt of the day or the year, whatever it was, like it's been a few years, and this world has been heavy into the topic of narcissism, but it keeps coming back into my life, right? And it's not the idea that I need more lessons, because believe me, I'm so hypersensitive to this topic right now that you even look at me the wrong way. I'm going to analyze it and see it if it's there. But when I hear other people having conversations, how they're bored with the conversation of narcissism. They want to go into the new lessons. But the thing is, we haven't even begun in this experience, right? And for our own sakes, because we are in the middle ground, we are the children of the sensitives and the narcissists. We are the children of the good and the bad and the light and the dark. We're in the middle. We're the, what do they call them? Indica children. We're right in the middle. We are a new species is what we are. And I am determined that we are going to be the next stage of evolution, right? Conscious man, because that's what we are in our stage of evolution. And I have to recognize, as being a baby boomer, that I'm invited to this party. I'm invited to this party because of my experiences, because of my closeness to these characters, and understanding too that, right, I was hurt, but they were hurt too, right? And it doesn't make them the demon, the devil. It just makes them have a harder time coming out of it, right? Right? Even with me in catching those moments where I'm just going to let somebody have it, right? That I have to catch myself and go, okay, it's not a matter of blasting somebody, but bringing it to light, like bringing it to light and let somebody else, right, decide for themselves how they're going to interact with that information. Because I do believe that's why it was hidden from me. Because, right, if I had caught wind of that when I was 6, 7, 8 years old, in all those relationships that I have been in, even in my own family, would have I been able to keep my family together? Not that it was my job, but I am a member of that network, right? That's my family. You never deny your own, because in the end, that's all you've got. Like, I was meant to be in that mix. I was meant to be the buffer between all that control, and to make sure that some of us got out without becoming narcissists. And then in the next lifetime, we'll do even better, right? And the ones that didn't make it out, right, that we'll be able to catch it a little bit easier, be able to buffer a little bit better. And that's the thing, right? And we're all willing and all hyped up to get this topic of narcissism on the shelf and off the table, right? Because it's not positive. It isn't positive, because it causes a lot of damage. But the thing is, the narcissist is damaged too. And it's not like the narcissist isn't savable, right? It only takes a couple of generations, if you think that way, for it to come out of the system, because it's only in our closest lifetimes that we are, right, we're holding on to these things. And, right, a couple of good experiences with good mentorship and good guidance and good parentage, and that would not even be a memory anymore. And maybe that's what happened to me. Maybe I am coming out of that myself, right? Maybe that's the evidence that that can be done, right? So when we talk about understandings for each one of us, going to be different, because, right, you don't come from a narcissistic upbringing. But then again, maybe you don't come from that upbringing, that you're a daughter of a highly sensitive or an empath also. And there's different stages and different labels because of the ingredients, and because, you've got the soul and the human of the narcissist, but then you've got the soul and the human of the empath too. That's 4 really strong characters that in our hypervigilance we are learning to dance with. We're learning to play with. We're learning to make contracts with, to make deals with, for each of our survivals, right? The empath survival and the narcissist survival, right? We can't control in any way, right? It's already done. We don't get a say in who our parentage is, but all we can do is move with it the best we can with the knowledge that we have in the moment. And if I woke up to some of these ideas at 57 years old, I woke up to some of the ideas. Great. I'm going to run with that. But I can't put it on the shelf, because it came across my path for a reason. And it keeps coming across my path for a reason, right? It's a reminder for myself, right? To take notes, Cindy, right? It's right. I'm right in the middle. I could sway either way, right? It is in that resentment. It is in that jealousy. It is in that hopelessness, right? It's in that giving up. It's in that I can't take one more. Or it's just in the confusion of not taking in the lessons, right? And like I said, for each one of us. It's going to be different lessons. You're not going to need lessons in narcissisms, but if you do, pay attention because it'll keep coming across your path for sure. 100% understandings for each one of us, right? It's in the experience of each one of us. But I suspect that if it's coming across your path, that maybe you're a little sensitive yourself. But in our hypervigilance, we might be very controlling in that. And we have to, in this case, I was talking to Kathy today, wasn't I, about this, that sometimes we being in the middle and having those lessons, and because we know we can be a little bit of a procrastinator, we don't want to walk into the fire. We don't want to walk into the burning and collapsing building. We don't want to walk into that argument. We don't want to walk into that conflict. We don't, right? But we have to, right? In order to be able to get the next lesson, right? Any kind of lesson. That's why it's always so detrimental for empaths to, right, just step a little bit further than what they're capable of. And you know what? It's not that painful. Why is it not that painful? Because we know pain. We've experienced the worst of it, right? We wouldn't have woken up to any of these ideas if we hadn't had those experiences. And in our choices, we can take those lessons so that maybe nobody else has to have those experiences that we had, because somebody's got to step forward first, right? That maybe us who have had those experiences get to be the ones that can play with it and maybe find solutions, right? Because there are no good guys, there are no bad guys. There isn't. There's just a whole bunch of untangled wires and a lot of input by a lot of parts of us, right? Who get to have a say. I think all parts of me get to have a say, right? And majority rules, whatever I feel strongest, that pull, right? That's what I'm gonna resonate with. And I was saying, like, I was talking to Kathy today, that little bit of controlling in me, making me feel bad because, right, I'm sitting and taking lessons and I can't get myself motivated because it's Christmas week. We got things to do. I haven't even started my peanut butter chocolate chip cookies. And I'm supposed to be taking them tomorrow with my big bag of pencils for one of my mentors in a program that helped me to get back on my feet, right? Just in that constant reminder of those gifts that we get along the way that quite possibly might not have happened without a kindness of somebody or something giving us, right, a lesson. Okay, you guys, I am done. I am going to go connect with Mother Nature, which is only the walk to the grocery store and back. And then I think I'm going to see if I can get into making those peanut butter chocolate chip cookies and getting some of those stocking stuffers wrapped. So, right, it takes that load off and the pressure off for the rest of the week because, again, it's Christmas week. We're all busy. You guys have a great day. Have a great evening. I'm glad everybody's getting their Christmas cards. I think the Canadians and the Americans got their Christmas cards at the same time. Nancy emailed me too and said she got her card today too. So it's kind of neat that it all made it there before Christmas, right? I got one more parcel to mail off. We're going to get that done. And you guys, we'll see each other next Sunday. Electric monkeys. Oh my goodness. What magic is going to come to table when Cindy's all relaxed and might be magic. It might be a shoe in my mouth. One way or another is going to be interesting. See you guys tomorrow. Bye bye.